Welcome to the AR-15 podcast. This show is for you if you just bought your first rifle or you've been building them for years. There's something we can all do to take our black rifles to the next level. My name is Nick Dooley. I am joined tonight by, well, we had both co-hosts, but now we're down to one. And we have Director of Propaganda, Joe.
Howdy, everybody. Good evening.
I'm sure Garth will be popping back in here momentarily. So, excuse me while I'm all discombobulated because I literally ran in and sat in this chair because I was out doing other things.
Building an arc?
Well, not quite, but I was working.
It's a mess out there. Like driving across the Bad River every few times a day. That thing is getting out of hand.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into all of it, but we hopefully are at its peak.
I'd say it looks like it finally stopped raining after a day and a half or so.
Yeah, a little over 4.5 inches here, but nobody really wants to hear about the weather report for us. We just have a couple roads washing out and stuff like that in the area, so I was out doing some emergency management stuff. But now we're back. We are here, and we are live. So, Joe, I know we did some fun stuff with guns this week, and it will, in fact, lead into tonight's topic. But
that's all I got for doing for fun because it started to rain, and I didn't get to go shoot on last night or tonight, or so. I planned on it. I was hoping to get out and just run some transition drills, and yeah, I'm not gonna go play in the rain. I mean, I don't give a shit what the Army says. It's not fun to train. It's not training if it's raining. It just sucks.
I have been out playing in the rain today, and
you get paid for it.
This is true.
Someone wants to pay me to go shoot in the rain.
I wasn't shooting in the rain though. That's the problem. I was out doing other stuff.
You're still getting paid. I was saying I couldn't go shoot because it was raining. Now, if somebody would have been like, "Hey, you're gonna get paid to do it," I'd been like, "Cool, I'll do it."
Yeah, I am currently very, very sad because I had I ordered my my super safety, and that was supposed to be coming in. Well, it was supposed to be here on Monday, and everybody else that ordered one that I know of around town got theirs in, but mine has still not shown up. So apparently mine is lost in the mail.
Do you have a tracking number on it?
I do, but it doesn't actually show where it is. It just says that it's en route.
Yeah. So I had some things like they'll ship the same day. One of them will show up in 2 days. The other one will go through 4 more states before it shows up. It'll come through. It'll leave Kansas City and go up to Fargo, go through South Dakota, and then it's stupid. But yeah, I was looking at getting an Artis. I do see they do have them on. There's a few on Gunbroker for the same price as buying it from a company. That means I can get it within a week. I might go that route.
Yeah, that might be Dr. Scary Guy says I hate it. Did you get yours or just?
Yeah, what do you hate? I think we need to clear that.
He hates everything, but
yeah. Well, what's he talking about right now? No, I actually reached out to Dave at Matador to be like, "Hey, what are you guys running? Know anybody that's running them?" Checked out or did some investigating on Reddit, and he replied there to my post as well. But they're making what they call it, a bar. They're in the hopefully he says it's going to be out in a week, sometime within. Maybe it was. I made it, but they're gonna. You have to do a little bit of retrofitting in order for it to run, but they're working on building the part for it. So we'll see.
That's awesome.
See how that goes once it's released.
Yeah. No, Garth, can you hear us now?
I can always hear you. Can you hear me?
We
Yeah, we
can.
can.
Yes. I'm a genius. And by that, I mean I shut my computer off and turned it back on. Yeah, I don't know. No super, super awesome fun stuff in guns this week for Garth because, well, it's been raining. And I guess I have been trying to paint a SIG, a DH3, and I put too many layers of paint on it, so I definitely have to go through with some paint thinner and take a few layers off because I keep wanting to change colors because I have the ADD of color wheel right now. So
Yes.
yeah, well,
So,
I don't know. It's not good right now. It looks
you know
very
what, I did one thing fun, and that'll lead into our topic a little bit. We taught a class this last weekend. It was a small class, but it was still a fun class.
Yeah, like you said when we were talking about getting paid, and you're like, we probably didn't make anything, but I would have gone out and shot anyways. So 2 guys there, we shot as much as they did. So yeah, it was, it kind of paid for a little bit of the ammo. But if it wouldn't have been doing a class on Saturday, I'd have been out shooting. So I mean, it wasn't any different.
Yeah, and they now another sheriff's department wants to do a carbine class, like for the department. So that's handy. And apparently they were impressed with how everything went. But
that makes me feel good because there's times I'm like, do we sound like complete morons? Like we all know that we've all been around somebody that's trying to teach something, and you're like, this guy's retarded, and it's trying. You can't, especially people that know what they're doing. Like you said, the sheriff's deputy that was there. It's like, are we helping him, or is he learning anything? And
yeah,
they're always grateful to your face, but yeah, if they're out talking to their bosses or their coworkers and they're saying, hey, it's worth get signed up and going to these, that's a testament to what we're doing.
Yeah, so I think we're doing something right there, but nobody's here to listen to us self-promote. But I gonna give a quick review on one thing we did. I took the high point carbine to that, was going to run it for the class, and in true fashion, I pulled it out of the box. And by when I say I pulled it out of the box, I mean I literally pulled it out of the box. I put a M-LOK sling mount on it. I put my sling on it, and I grabbed a red dot, and we threw it on it. And I said, all right, let's party. I'm going to zero with you guys. And it had so much packing grease on it that if you purchase a full carbine or full high point rifle, pull the bolt carrier out and wipe it down before you go to the range.
Probably just give it a full cleaning.
Yeah.
What'd you get? The first group of 5 on the zero, and then it went to
No.
I thought you got the first 5 off.
Because then I did not.
Oh, then you would run, then it would run, and then it wouldn't run, and
then we did the thing I say tell everyone to not do, and I gave it a bath
with WD-40.
No, we used shot Racha, and then it got running and it ran pretty good, and then I just said, all right, this is too. I don't need to practice this many malfunction drills while I'm instructing, so we pulled it off and switched to another rifle because naturally I had a couple there. And it's a good thing I did because we had a handful of things happen, and had an AR pistol that I've had and ran the receiver for years, like literally 7 or 8 years. And it decided it wanted to have a rapid unplanned disassembly. And by that, I mean the buffer tower decided it did not want to be a part of the lower anymore. So that one is now broken into several more pieces and has officially been destroyed, which is a sad day. But the gun was built back out again that night while the high point was in the ultrasonic. And then after I put it in the ultrasonic and gave it a proper lube, I went out and ran 60 rounds through it flawlessly. I am going to say this, even with having to essentially run a bolt action AR when I zeroed, it was shooting amazingly tight groups at 50. Like,
Yeah, it was like you said, it was brand new out of the box. You didn't do anything with it. That's not a testament, or that's not a knock on
no,
the
it's not a
quality of
knock on the gun
rifle.
at all.
It's if anything you buy, you should at least give it a once over. You don't.
and I 100%, I said, this is the worst way to do this. And that's what I did. But AI is going to beat us up on this and post this as like, oh, that high point was trash. and that's not in fact the case. But no. So we went out and shot that. And then, as we were shooting that, I looked over and any class I teach, I'm always very interested in what people bring to class, whether it's handguns in, concealed carry class or rifles in a carbine class. If I'm a student or if I'm an instructor, I always look down to see what gear people are running. And we had a new St. Victor and a IWI Zion. And then my whatever Franken guns I had there. And then Joe, you had
I had my clone and my race gun.
Yeah, you had your clone and your race gun. And as we went through, Joe and I were talking afterwards, and this kind of gets into the topic of tonight's show that we're going to wax poetic on. And something that I know from shooting competition and being around and going to different classes over the years, I have started to see a shift back to the red dot. And I say that as I did I got a red dot, 100 years ago, and it was trash because I didn't buy a $700 red dot. I bought a $30 red dot because I was 21 years old and didn't know what I was doing. And it was crap because that's what you had. You had high-end red dots that cost as much as a good scope, or you had Walmart garbage. Would you say that's a fair assessment, Joe?
Oh yeah, that's the way it's been. I think, and that's why you're seeing that coming back to the red dot is because of companies like Swamp Fox, Giddy, and those guys that are making quality stuff, but aren't trying to sell a brand name. They're trying to get good equipment in people's hands without them going broke. And even do that now.
Well, and Primary Arms and Holosun, like you're going through with that. And I see Dusky here. I think the flexibility and forgiving characteristics of the red dot gives them the edge. And I think you're seeing a lot of that, but I think that has something to do with it. I know that as I've looked through and seen, everything's cyclical. And I remember when it was like, oh man, you want to do this? You need an EOTech and a magnifier. And everybody's like, that's $900. Mm-hmm. And, it's like, if I'm going to spend $900, I want it to do more than that. So, that was the rise of the LPVO. And I was full on that LPVO train. Like, hard. I had there was a time when the only red dot I owned was on my PCC. And then I had them on handguns. Everything else had an LPVO. And Garth, you got any commentary for this or?
No, I was just going to agree with you, man. Like what you guys have said so far, think back 15 years ago, especially when I got into guns, it was your cheap crap, your NC Star stuff where it was affordable, but you knew it wasn't going to hold zero all the time, or it was your $800, $900 red dots. And I could never justify putting an optic on my gun that was eventually going to die because I don't think the battery life was there back then. And I didn't want to have a bag full of batteries or think it was going to, die when I actually really needed it. So red dots were really never a thing. And then you said it was just a cycle thing. You had the LPVOs, and then prisms came out. And then, some guys would go with the holographic stuff. But now I think there's a real place for red dots because they are affordable. There's so many companies out there that are doing a respectable deal at $80 to $150 red dot, and the longevity of batteries is so much better now. And the thing that scared me so much, and why I have 2 dial safes in my gun room, is because everyone is going EMP and all that crap and stuff, and the realistic of it is shoot the red dot, because realistically, if you're not shooting your high powers and stuff like that, you're not going to make much farther of a shot than you need a red dot for anyway. And you can still reach out 200 yards or beyond, depending on what you sight in at. So, yeah,
we do it in the military. We do it in the military. 300 is a standard with a red dot. So
exactly.
It's you don't, for what most people are going to be doing. Yeah, if you're going to build a gun to go hunt, and you think and especially if you're like hunting out west, and you need like 400 or 500 yards to get that shot, then you're going to want something magnified. But I think going back to what you started with, Garth, is when they first came out, they were almost gimmicky. It was, they didn't feel like, they felt cheap. They just looked dumb. And I think at the time, a lot of people also probably didn't realize, if they had astigmatisms or what astigmatism would do to a dot. So they looked at it and went like, well, this thing's junk. It doesn't even give me a circle. And I didn't realize that until just a few years ago, as they've just become more mainstream and usable.
No, yeah, 100%.
I know that, we went through and in talking about that stuff, I've been through this red dot's junk and I hate them. And I've gone on record talking about how much I hate some of them more so than others. And, I've got I've got an EOTech, and my EOTech is not clear to my eyes at all. It looks super grainy. And when I first started shooting it, I was like, this is not what an optic that costs this much should look like. And it was almost distracting. And then I shot it more, and I shot it a lot more. And I got to the point where I was like, oh, hey, like I'm used to this now. And it's more I had to learn how to use it, because I don't know if my eye just tracks stuff faster or something, because when it was drawing it, it looked grainy to me. And I was like, I'm not a huge fan of this. Dusky Econ in the chat says, LOL, I thought that was supposed to be a dot. Yup. Red dot blob sucks. And, we're seeing some companies with different emitters and different powers and different coatings make dots better for people with astigmatism. I know that, Joe, you've mentioned before that you almost have to pick up, like, go through a box or a whole.
Yeah. Like, I wish if I'm shopping for one, I like want to be able to take it out and look through it, because every dot is different. And some of them are almost perfect, and some of them are just horrible. So, but like you were saying about the graininess on the EOTechs or on the holographics, like my Huey is really grainy. And when I'm shooting it, like in go mood, like when I'm on the stage on the timer, I don't notice it at all. There's a circle, there's a dot in there, put it on the brown and shoot. And I think a lot of people coming from growing up with 3x9 scopes on every bolt action rifle we had, you were so used to perfect, nice defined lines, that perfect crosshair, the perfect stadia if it was on the, your BDC, because you were taking the time, you were looking down the scope. But then the red dots came along, and they became not so much for long distance shooting or precision shooting as they became more shooting for speed. So you can keep both eyes open, you can look and see. And it took people a minute to realize, hey, I don't need a perfect dot in order to hit this target, especially if I'm not trying to shoot quarter-inch groups or sub MOA groups, because I'm not shooting off a bench. Like, if you think you can shoot sub MOA freestyle offhand, I'd like to see it, because you got your wobble down. And I know so many stupid people claim they can do it all day long. I reached you up 500. Yeah, well, let's go do it. And they never show up.
I mean, I can, but I'm shooting off a bipod.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Where
and how big's the steel they're shooting at? Their fucking car door?
Yeah, it's, and there is this, and yeah, there are guys out there who can do it. And we're not taking away from it. And you can
I
totally
know they are, but they're not the guys arguing with me at the bar.
Yeah. And that is that is a fact. But no, running through one of those oh, here we go. Tin Man says in the Rumble chat, says, I'm one of those old bastards that had a Kmart quality 3x9 on everything growing up. Yeah, the Tasco World Class.
Hey, it killed deer. That's all that mattered.
Yeah, like I grew up shooting, I still have it. And it is, a 1959 model Redfield, K4, or Weaver K4 rather, and a Weaver K4, and that's just a straight 4-power with a duplex reticle, and yeah, I've killed elk with it, I've killed deer with it, I've killed antelope with it, and it works. It's a 4-power scope, and it's way more forgiving than like a 4-power ACOG for eye relief. But
well, I think part of the best part about the red dots nowadays is the MOA. I mean, obviously, right away, from what I remember, it was just like a 1 MOA dot, and now you can get up to a 4, and almost every one of them. Not every one of them, but most come with a package deal. You can buy the magnifier with them, and before that, everyone's like, "Well, I don't need a magnifier. Why would I put 2 optics on one gun?" And now a magnifier with a red dot is outstanding. I mean, it's
Vulcan Rumble says back when our eyes were good, that's all you needed was came.
Well, yeah, that's 100% true too.
That's also where I went to get my eyes checked back in the day. But...
Yeah. So I mean, no, but just to have that, reliance of a magnifier on a red dot, just to push you along, because I know plenty of people that have shot deer and stuff with red dots. So I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
No.
Yeah. And I know that, kind of talking about this, where we talked about like the red dot revival, as so this, is named, where you're seeing the resurgence of it, and it's coming back. And, like Dusky's saying, all the colors, sizes, housings, and performance options that are available. And you really can kind of build it out for your type of shooting. I mean, Primary Arms and SIG doing the bundles where you buy the red dot and the magnifier. And that is a super stellar thing to do. I know I had never really thought about going back to it. Like I had a dot, I had my magnifier, or I had my EOTech with a magnifier behind it. Cause I was like, all right, well, I'm going to try this magnifier thing. And I bought a $150 Vortex dot or magnifier off a tack swap and mounted it behind my EOTech. It's still there to this day. It's a solid magnifier. Glass is clear. I use it. It's a 3-power magnifier and it works. Last year was when I really started to come back and start looking at red dots in a more realistic and feasible manner. And the only reason I did, 100%, the only reason why I went back to a red dot was when we went and shot the Zombies in the Heartland match last year, which I know everyone kind of gets sick of hearing us talk about some of these matches, but that's where I do a lot of learning and training, because that's where you get to actually proof your concept and run through stuff. Because I went, all right, I'm going to shoot this with, this dot, and mounted the dot up behind it and got the magnifier and both primary arms. And because we were supposedly going to have targets out to 200 yards and, allegedly. And then when we got there, found out our longest shot was 50 yards.
Yeah.
And I never, I realize that our match stories are still shorter than some people's hunting stories. But when we got into that, I realized, hey, like the hardest shot we had, I shot with a dot and not with the or with just the straight dot, and not the magnifier, because I was confident in where that shot went. So I knew that I could do that, hit that clay pigeon at 50 yards, and was like, all right, yeah, sweet. Like, let's rock and roll with it. And it kind of made me rethink how I was doing some of my other stuff.
Well, that's just it. I wish more people would shoot competition, because in the grand scheme of things, it really brings the real aspect of what you have your firearms for. Yeah, everyone talks the big game about, oh well, if things ever popped off, I'm good for 500 yards. Okay, cool. But now put yourself in a situation where you're at your house, or you're in a town setting. Those 500-yard shots are null and void. I mean, you're not going to be doing that around a city block or two. It's going to be close combat, and that's why we like the competition aspect, because it just, I don't want to take a 1 to 10 LPVO into a short range competition setting, or a real life scenario. I want something I can acquire a target easily with, and like Joe said, have my other eye open so I can see what's going on around me. So,
well, and
once
to that end,
once you learn how to do that, and you can, it's not even just having both eyes open to look at your target, but being able to actually have the one focused on the target and the other kind of there to like have that wider view, especially if you're looking for perceived threats.
Well, the concept we're talking about is called target focused shooting. And target focused shooting happens what generally is done with a red dot, because you focus on the target and then paint the target with the dot. So you bring it up and it's okay, yep, hey, there's my target, there's my threat, whatever, boom, and yep, you're in it and on it. And you keep both eyes focused so you can see where that is. And
I would say that's probably one of the issues a lot of people have, because you were trained, we grew up, focus on the front sight post, focus on the crosshairs, blurry target. Well, as red dots evolve and red dot shooting evolves, especially shooting for speed and stuff like that, when you're not shooting for, shooting a quarter, like I said, sub MOA at a bullseye, and you just have to hit an A zone, or you just have to hit a torso, shooting, it was counterproductive or counteractive of what they've been taught, where you look at the target and you just make sure that dot is there.
Yeah,
so,
and that's one where, honestly, I know that was part of my reason why I hated it. And it wasn't until that I actually started to study the science of shooting that I came back and was like, okay, here we go. This is something. And then I know that I came back and we talked about it. When I talk to shooters at guards and stuff like that, I'm like, hey guys, no, we need to do this target focused shooting. And everyone would look at me like I had a fifth appendage growing out of my forehead. And, that's where we had that. And it was like, no, if we do this, like, this is really the way to do it, is getting back down to training and the brass tacks and how to do that, so you can really get a handle on that. Much like getting a handle on your weapon with VZ grips. The unique features of VZ grips that are machined from a solid block of G10, and G10 is great because it's durable and doesn't get slippery when covered with mud, blood, or sweat. The 17-degree grip angle and wide variety of textures from mild to extreme, as well as color options and shorty versions, are also available. 1911 grips with extreme customizability, standard slim palms, well thumb notch safety cuts, bottom profiles, and more. More than 25 textures and 27 colors are available. And there's one coupon code that is good for 15% off all handgun and rifle grips. And that code is AR-15 podcast. But breaking it back down into how that stuff worked, that's where we come back to looking at, we've talked a lot about like how the global war on terror, GWAT as I affectionately call it, changed a lot of stuff with medical. And we brought back a lot of that institutional knowledge that had been lost in Vietnam. And like the application of tourniquets and all of those things. Okay, yep, that was really awesome doing that. We started to send warfighters to competition schools to learn how to run their guns more effectively. And then they came back and started to train people on, hey, do target focused shooting. And then you had to kind of search out and look for training to find out where stuff is happening. And that's where it's like, oh, hey, target focused shooting. Like, I need to look at this. And then we try it, have new concepts that develop, and we come back. Yeah, this is actually a very effective and very feasible way to do this. But here in the chat,
Yeah,
Vulcan Rumble says, now that I'm approaching 60 yards, I'm going to say, what optics would you recommend with the biggest lens for us old guys? If you're talking about the biggest lenses and windows, depending upon your price point, the Trijicon MRO I have, and I really like it. Like, that is an ultra solid optic.
I would.
What's that?
I would clarify if he wants rifle or pistol, because that makes a difference, I think, in the answer.
Yeah, are you looking at a rifle optic or a pistol optic? But as I also go through here, I'm going to look up so I can tell you exactly what model it is.
Well, I was gonna be pretty generic on that and go with some sort of closed emitter or a holographic. They seem to have the bigger windows than the actual like dot.
If he's talking about like a rifle red dot,
yeah,
rifle red dot, you have a whole bunch of different options. And
PP or PCC or
I'm sorry,
I'm gonna say he wanted to say PCC.
Yeah, PCC.
That's where I would go with like a closed emitter or
and this is where I'm looking at this, and I'm going to tell you to look at the. Let me make sure I'm pulling up the right one here. Okay, right here. If you want a really good economy, like this is a more economical scale. I have this, and this is a 25 millimeter, so it's bigger than like all of the Sig Romeos and the Swamp Fox Liberators. The Primary Arms Classic push button red dot. It's a 3MOA dot.
Why don't you bring that up on screen for everyone, if you would?
I will. I was just clicking over because
I thought you were going to say your Trijicon.
The RMO or
MRO?
That's
where you were. That's what you were talking about. I'm like, I got one.
No, I have a.
Yeah, it's this one. Or are you talking about one of these?
The one that I have up on screen right now. So I have this mounted, and I have a. This is actually the other optic that I was running, and I've ran this for our last two classes. I just put a different magnifier behind it, and I put a cheap, thrifty, cost-effective, however you want to say it, magnifier behind it, and it's about the same price as what this dot has cost, and I've been utterly pleased with the performance. And I see that our Uper friend is here, and yes, I have an MRO Patrol on a 11.5-inch front sight post gun that I love as well. But if you're looking for a PCC, this is great. My absolute favorite one that Primary Arms makes is this one right here. Oh no, it's not it. That's the 21 millimeter. So it is the ACSS reticle, and the ACSS reticle from Primary Arms has the drop downs, and maybe it is this 21 here that, as this goes through, this is the GLX. As this goes through, this has a little bit of a ranging reticle on it when you get into it, and
which is super neat.
With a magnifier behind it, that grows up and gets a little bit bigger, and I have used that very effectively in competition.
No, yeah, I've shot that gun that optic Nick just had up, and myself, just for having astigmatism because my best friend shot me that when I was 13. We won't dive into that. I can't see red dots as clear, but with that magnifier on it, that is probably one of my favorite setups that Nick has that I keep saying I'm going to order, and I haven't done it yet. But in competition, I can see where that is a must-have, and I might just say screw it and order it tonight after the show because it's been about a year now. I've been saying I'm going to buy it. So,
well, Dr. Scary Guy says, isn't it wild living in a period where weapon tactics are evolving fastest since the development of firearms? And it really is. And some of these things, like
That's
yeah,
foreshadowing for the future. If I was reading the book
strange.
right now, look at how all this stuff is evolving. So, wow, look what's going on. Damn aliens, anyways.
Yep.
But well, it's if you want to get into that, like we can talk about athletes and how far we've come along with like look at what high school and collegiate athletes can do.
Next summer, the what do they get? Enhanced games?
Yeah, the enhanced games.
Can't wait for that. That's gonna be so awesome.
Well, I just like however the algorithms come across, I had this pop up where somebody was talking about it and they happened to mention South Dakota in it. This is a guy who's apparently huge into track and field and cross country and all that. And he pulled up numbers and he had a South Dakota ESD, so Eastern South Dakota cross country meet.
The big school, the big conference in South Dakota.
Yeah, they had a cross country meet, and these kids were getting like mid to low 14-minute cross country times.
That's insane.
And he's like,
so high school, if you're not familiar, high school cross country is basically a 5K.
Yeah,
and they run them. Holy crap, these kids are fast.
Yeah, he's like, in the 70s, this would have been an Olympic time.
Yeah.
And like we're pushing everything to that development because we're actually seeing what the human body can do. And like instructors like Travis Haley and stuff like that, where they started going through looking at body mechanics and how to move more so than put your front side on the target and pull the trigger. See, that's how you do it. And looking at how to actually move and present to do things faster and faster and faster and more accurate. And once we start evolving everything to include the shooter, as a weapon and looking at it as like, oh, hey, why don't we do this the most efficient way possible? Speeds increase so much and everything starts moving that we've actually started pushing the limits of what was once thought possible.
Yeah. No, it's true.
I know that Garth has pushed his limits of what he thought was once possible.
I have, They tell me for a big man, I move nimbly. I'm not going to say fast, just nimble.
Yeah. Yeah, here we go. I'm not going to pronounce that because I'm going to pronounce it.
I was going to say, don't use words we can't read and pronounce.
Kinesiology isn't just for people who fail out of real biology anymore. which is like kinesis or kinetics, learning about how things move and how the body moves. I understand it because my Latin is still not bad.
It's probably going to turn into a different topic than what we thought, but it's no different than like in the 80s and 90s when the Dallas Cowboys offensive linemen were taking ballet classes. It's the same reason my high school wrestling coach, our assistant coach, swore up and down he didn't care who your mom and dad were. You should have been wrestling until you were deciding to go play basketball, because it does so much for how you move and learn how your body moves.
It's the same reason Nick's about to take ballet classes himself, because what instructor told you to
I've said that before, that one of the most profound things I've ever had taught to me, I even brought it up at our last class and started to show it and demonstrate it. I had a firearms instructor change how I walk, like on a regular basis, and especially when I start shooting. And the dude's a ballet instructor. Like that's what he did for a living, was teach ballet, like professionally, to like really good ballerinas. And I had this small Asian man telling me how to walk, and I was like, oh no, do this, and like this is how you flow. And I was like, okay. And then things clicked, because it's like, hey, point your toe this way. And it's like when you're walking, because he's like, because you're a giant, you like splay your feet out to get better balance. It's like, point your toes towards your target, you're gonna be better.
I know that the first year I shot trap league, when we had that first trap team, and like was just ecstatic to shoot in the high teens, maybe break 20. And for whatever reason, something over the winter, I switched my stance from our usual aggressive, let's go clear the room stance to a squared up stance. And I averaged a 23 that summer. Like it's huge. Body positioning and movement and stuff like that is huge.
It is. And
I don't know what it has to do with red dots, but
well, it does, because that has to do with presenting a red dot and how things go. Because with that red dot, you can come up, and that's where we're getting into, like, target focus shooting and all of that, and movement. And that's where you kind of get into how this goes through. Much like if you're doing movement and stuff like that, you're going to need reliable gear, much like reliable custom Kydex holsters. Klecker Tactical is your one-stop shop. Using premium USA source material, Klecker Tactical will build you a holster in a variety of styles and color options, along with light and laser options available. Whether you're in law enforcement, a competitive shooter, or an everyday gun enthusiast, trust that Klecker Tactical will provide every firearm owner has access to top-tier and personalized holsters, as well as quality custom products you can't find anywhere else. Use code AR-15 podcast for 10% off at KleckerTactical.com. But and having that where it's when you change your body position and when you go through and move around, learning how to do that, so we went through that. And I know that when I was talking with, we had a small class with our 2 students that were there, and one of them had done a lot of training. And so I was like, okay, hey, when you're doing this, and I know that Garth can attest to this because he's been there when we've talked about it, and it's changed. And Garth will testify that, yes, this will make you faster on transitions. You don't pivot and turret your body by turning your upper body and leave your lower body planted. You want to turn your hips so you actually transition side to side by using your knees.
Yeah, just remember, it's all in the hips.
And, so you're presenting your hips towards your target. And in doing that, I mean, that with a red dot, you don't overdrive the gun. And explaining that where it's like, okay, when you do this, you don't go past and then have to come back. It allows you to pivot straight to it. And I think so as we keep talking about this and be like, yeah, we have all this stuff and it's cool and it's neat and it's groovy. But, back to a little bit of why some of the LPVOs fail. LPVOs are awesome because they do a ton of stuff, right? You have a 1 to 10. That means you can shoot with all the magnifications from 1 to 10x. And the problem with LPVOs is the worst 2 magnification powers they generally have are their lowest and their highest. Because when you flip that dial all the way to 1, it's generally not a true 1x. I know that I have some that when I look through, it actually makes things a little bit smaller. So I almost want to put like a stop. So it'll put it back to being true 1x.
Like 1.2.
Yeah. Well, it's 0.8x. So it actually like makes it smaller or something. So it's like, this.
No, I was going to say put the stopper at like 1.2. So you don't go all the way because stop you before you get there.
And then, like going up to 10, that's where you start to see the, what's it they call it, chromation on the sides, where you'll have the sides starting to blur or something like that at the outside of the focal plane. And
I agree. To me, the 1x10 is just too much of an extreme. Like 1 to 6, 1 to 8. Like if you're, because, real life, yeah. But at a match, if they're like, hey, you're going to need your 1 power and your 10 power because we're going to, put a clay at 300 yards or 400 yards, that's just almost going too extreme.
Well,
if you can't do it with a 6, and this is talking competition, like if you can't do it with a 6 power, you might be, putting this thing on a level that's not that. Yeah, the experts, the best shooters in the world might be fun with it, but you're going to piss off the casuals, the guys that are the actual guys that are giving you the money because they just want to have a good time.
Well, and at that point too, like I love my 1 to 10. like I have 1 to 10s, I have 1 to 8s, I have 1 to 6s, I have 1 to 4s. I've run the whole gamut of them, and I still like them. They still very much so have a place. And it's like, yeah, I want one rifle with one optic that I can shoot prairie dogs with. I can do all of this stuff. Yep, you can reach out a little bit further with a 10 power than you can with a 6. But honestly, at the point you get to you're starting to see them back off of the 1 to 10s and make a really good 1 to 8 or a really good 1 to 6, which is good.
For a while it was like 2 to 8s that were kind of
well, and that's
made a little bit of a blip on the radar because, like you were saying, Nick, you couldn't get a true 1 anyways. So they're like, there isn't that much difference. So that 2 power, and that still gave you a lot better adjustment throughout the.
But how many guys are actually running the full 10 power anyway? Because I have 4 of them, and there's very few times I actually go to a full 10 power on it anyway. It's more like Nick said, I'll dial it back to like a 7 or an 8 just because I know it can go to 10, but my eye relief feels a lot more comfortable at an 8. Same way with a 1 to 8 or a 1 to 6 or 1 to 4. I always dial it back just off full power because my eye relief works that way just a lot better.
Well, and that's also why you see a lot of the piggyback or the 45 offset with another red dot or mounting one right on top, which that is also not a new concept.
No.
I mean, that was originally an ACOG thing where they'd have an ACOG and mount an RMR on top of it to do anything they had to do up close. You'd run that.
My ACOG's actually got the peep on the top, so you could actually, if you could do it where you zero it off the front sight post and you can look through there if you've got that front sight post, which is, I mean, it would take a lot of practice getting used to pulling up and looking through it that way. But yeah, like you said, Nick, with the 45s or I've always been like, if it's at the point where I think I need to go to the 45, I'm just pointing and shooting because I know where my weapon's pointing and where it's going to hit, as opposed to taking that time to grab that 0.
Well, exactly. And that's why I like red dots so much, is because it's all about transitional shooting. Like Joe said, it's a point and shoot thing. An LPVO, yes, you can, but there's always going to be that, again, and it comes down to your body. If you're rotating too much, you overshoot your target. And then, of course, how many guys have you seen at a range reach back up and crank that baby down because they're too close? And that just isn't as fun sometimes, because sometimes you're supposed to be shooting paper and all of a sudden you're on a steel. And the best way to resolve that issue is, if you guys are tired of replacing worn out targets every session, meet TRC Targets, the self-healing, long-lasting solution built for real shooters like you. They withstand over 400 rounds of 5.56 per square inch. That's hours of range time without worrying about any replacements. Designed to reduce ricochets and spalling, TRCT keeps you training safe, effective, and fun. Lightweight, modular, and built tough. Take them anywhere, set them up fast, and shoot with confidence. Don't waste money on throwaway targets. Upgrade to TCRT Targets today, when durability meets safety.
Yeah.
No, I think you hit it there, Garth, when you said transitional shooting. A red dot is so much more forgiving than an LPVO, because you don't have to hit the exact spot every time to get a clear picture down that optic. And that it speeds stuff up, makes it a lot easier to go.
Yeah, and with that, like we were talking about the higher power stuff, for longtime listeners of the show, they may remember that we did a show on the MPVO, medium powered variable optic, and it was in that 2 to 10, 3 to 12, that kind of range, where if you're going to run that and have run a red dot with it, that's more like SPR style, like getting into your special purpose rifle, where you can still do the close up and quick things. But and that's at one time what a lot of the older 3-gun matches was, you have to reach out because we're going to put targets at distance. And it became more and more of a close-up shoot, so you're seeing more and more red dots, and that's primarily what most people have available to them.
Well, it's so hard to get a decent area to put targets that are where you can challenge a shooter with targets that are within 10 feet all the way out to 600 meters. Like where that actually comes in. That I had the Strike Eagle on my race gun for a couple of seasons, and then I went, I'm never taking it off one because nothing's more than 75 yards away here in town. Everything else died, so I wasn't going anywhere else where I might need it. So I went and bought the Romeo. Was it the Romeo 6?
Something like that. Yeah.
For the big one, and I've been running that on my race gun and have no problem with it. I can still hit the poppers, our lollipop targets, which are 8 inches, maybe 6 to 8 inches at 75 to 100 yards without a whole lot of, challenge. And it's just kind of having, I have to know a little bit of my hold, but when I'm trying to shoot fast, I'm not going to take the time to look on the timer to figure out, hey, I need to be holding at the third dot down or something like that.
I think that's where a lot of guys come in, is because I've tried to cheat the system on many competition and taken LPVO.
No.
Yeah, weird. I know, right? I've done it, especially the ones I've designed, and I still fail because I'm taking too much time actually looking through my optic and going, okay, third dot, fourth dot, second dot, when realistically I just need to know my holds on my red dot. And yeah, it just works so much better. Yeah.
Red dot, even that match I shot out in Guernsey with the Tango 6, I'd rather know where I need to hold the crosshair than to know what dot needs to be center mass. I'd rather know my holdovers than the other way around.
Yeah, I'd rather do holds than know the BDC.
Yeah.
And that's a me thing. But I know that I've long been Garth and I have had many discussion about BDCs.
Many discussion. And there was a time and place where I thought that was all there ever was. And if you didn't shoot BDC scopes, you're an idiot. But
yep, you got the calculator out, you put your round on your phone, what the round is, what scope you're shooting. It'll tell you exactly where that dot and hold is. And then it's like, in the real world, none of that is ever the same.
Oh, none of it. Because no matter what, you can't. I mean, obviously the BDC,
nothing is built static,
wind and everything like that. So yeah,
if you're not at a KD range in the military, nothing is built static to your BDC.
Correct.
So I'd rather know my hold and go there. I really have that confidence in myself.
I've been at the range so many times and been frustrated and given up and just put a gun away for 6 months because I was so pissed off by the end of me sighting it in. So,
yep, and that's
why
like
when it comes issue.
100% is.
No, but I think what we're coming down to is we're finding that more and more people are like, we've seen the economy of scale come up where red dots are better and more affordable. And we're seeing a larger gamut of producers of optics, which we're seeing across the board. Like even in precision rifle world, I know that so you're saying a mil dot tree is the way to be. No, I'm saying that if I'm shooting a long range scope, like a first focal plane, I want a Horus Tremor style reticle so that I can have my full Christmas tree, so I can dial and do holdovers. But that's when I'm shooting things at long range and playing that game. And when I'm not doing that, I want different things because, it's kind of like golfing, right? Every gun has a purpose. It's, if you go through, it's like, what are we going to do today? Because I'm going, well, do I want to do chip shots or do I want to do this? Because I'm grabbing a different gun every time based on what I'm doing.
Doing the 9-iron or the 7-iron here? We laying up or go? No, I have that option. It's give me the dang gun and go. Well, and I made that mistake when I bought my Viper PST. I hate it. That's got that Christmas tree in it, and I am not a fan of complicated reticles. And I didn't know that at the time because it was the first one I'd ever bought. That because hey, I thought it was cool. Look at all this wind holds and drop, and yeah, I'd rather just have that crosshair.
have two guns that have them in them, and I like them, but the one is like I've taken it to long range classes and I learned how to use it and done the dialing where this is a gun I'm shooting at, 1,1300 yards and learning how to dial and do holds with that. Then yeah, it's super awesome. For hunting, probably not as handy. It's like I can still use it because my brain I can force to nope, I just need to worry about the reticle or worry about the center here, and I can still see the forest for the trees.
To be fair though, there is a fire department down in Nebraska, and we have a standing invitation to go to it where they do host a 9-hole golf tournament with the AR can launchers, but they use golf balls instead. And they have a driver, a mid-range, and a putter. And one of these years, we're going to have to take them up on it because, we just mixed two of my favorite things to do, guns and golf. So
I've been so tempted to buy one of those golf ball launchers.
Oh, I would get in trouble.
I'd be sitting I'd get in trouble because I'd be sitting in my yard trying to launch them into the river.
Oh, yeah, 100%. From where you live?
When we have the rodeo going on.
Oh, that's where we get in trouble. So much.
See, now I know a guy who bought one. He bought one of the cannons, and he uses it almost exclusively for his dog because they fit tennis balls.
Yep.
So he's just and launches tennis balls for his dog, and
the dog still doesn't get tired. He shoots him. He probably shoots that thing a couple hundred yards each time. The dog will get it and bring it back all day long.
I could use it twice. My dog would hate me for the rest of her life. So she got them short little legs.
That's because we have dogs.
I have a dog. She barks. She's a wiener dog. She's transgender. She's a girl, but she's a wiener.
Don't ever say that again.
Yep. All of our FBI agents just went, what?
Exactly. 100%.
Hey, rewind that. What the fuck did he say?
What did he just say?
Yeah, so Garth
They're talking about guns and trannies. What's going on?
That's how you get on a list.
If we weren't on a list before. Now because of my
You're not on a list, you're not doing it right.
Exactly.
Feel surprised I'm allowed to fly.
If Nick can fly, I can fly.
What? I don't know how I became the barometer for this.
Oh. A lot of how I judge stuff. If Nick can do it, I can do it.
Not sure if that's good or bad.
Both.
But this is a new list, Dusty says. But no, it's having that capability and the variety and multitude of solid optics manufacturers. And we're at the point where you can get $130 red dot that's actually a solid option, and you can do a lot with it. Up until the point where you're like, okay, hey, I want something nicer. Like I want to get a Cadillac. I want something with more refined controls, or a different.
And then you're gonna find out it wasn't worth it.
Yeah. Well,
most times, yeah.
I want something that I can put a different mount on because I want to do different heights. But now a lot of them even have the same pattern. Like we've started to actually do industry standards on some of these patterns and things so that we can adjust and get a different riser if you want a different height. If you're going to be doing a bunch of stuff with nods and want to do passive aiming, if you're going to do these things, like we have the capabilities now. We have the technology. We can rebuild them.
We can make it better.
All right. So you guys have any more thoughts on the red dot revival? I also even say that a lot of people are switching back to it because they're seeing how effective they are on handguns.
No, I think the handgun market has taken off, and because of that, yeah.
I know we don't have time to get into handguns.
No, and we don't. I'm just going to clarify, because of the handgun market, a lot of people are going back to the red dot on the rifle now because of that. I mean, getting alone, they send you a pick rail mount with most of your optics. So.
Yeah. And that is a good thing.
No, we should probably, end on that because, like Joe said, that could be a whole another thing.
Yeah, put that quarter in me right now and see where that rabbit hole goes. But
Not unless you're gonna have Piper on the show, just so we can.
so she can yell about how red dots don't belong on handguns.
Oh, was she in my phase like 4 years ago?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fun.
The only reason that day at the range my CZ wasn't her favorite gun is because it had a dot on it.
We'll learn her. She'll learn it.
Her
She'll
favorite one
figure it
was
out.
one without the dot, and she was. I don't know if Nick will admit it, but I'm pretty sure she would have said that was her favorite one, even over the 1911, if it wouldn't have had a dot on it.
Oh yeah. She
That,
she said it was between that one and the Beretta. Like,
yeah,
she really liked the Beretta and she liked the CZ. She like both these were really nice. And I'm like, yeah, I can understand how the CZ, Shadow 2 with all of the Cajun Gunworks race gun parts could like, yeah, you went from like, okay, hey, my bone stock Beretta.
Here's your Lexus. Now you want to drive my Ferrari.
Well, I wasn't going to say Lexus. I was going to say like, this
Camry.
right here is a clapped out Ford Bronco 2. It's got, the body's not that great on it, but she
It'll run.
It's got a real good drivetrain.
Her name is Pittsburgh Nellie.
And then like, okay, hey, we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna go to a trophy truck. And
She got really mad when she said something about the dot, and I looked at her and like, you realize that was the best group you shot all day. She just went.
And even her iron sights groups are still better than what I know a lot of adults can shoot.
Yeah.
Well, that's because she goes to the range with her dad more than, 2-3 times a month at least. Maybe more.
And Dr. Scary Guy, I agree. I still want the old school frame mount for my 1911 and a Seymour on top. Like, that is definitely a vibe. I want to do a full late 90s retro two-tone 1911 with like the blued slide and the stainless steel frame, and then do the light mount and Seymour on top, like the full on tactical, because I'm that kind of nerd.
He is.
It'd be one of those things I'd shoot it like 12 times and be like, it brings me joy.
Oh, so you're not even going to put 2 full mags through it, huh?
No, that wouldn't even be 2 full mags. I'm saying I'd take it to the range like 12 times.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. That's fair.
Yeah, because 1911, that holds 8 generally.
Yeah, I know. And you said 12 times, so I just figured you're going to shoot it that many times before it jammed.
I know, because I'll breathe on it.
But 200 rounds for mine, and I didn't have a single malfunction.
You should go to Paul's house and clean his 1911s because he shoots.
When you
California.
you can't even say that because mine's not exactly hey, this is a duty or like functional. It's the 6 Scorpion of all,
I used to have one of those.
but it's ammo. It's not the gun. It's the ammo.
Yes, Andrew, he is.
But Vulcan Rumble says she has the best eyes there. That's not. I'm not going to say that's true. Yes, and I do have a couple 10-round mags, Dr. Scary Guy, for my 1911s. I just don't shoot my 1911 as much as I probably should, but that's mainly because I like to go fast.
What were we running bill drills with those on? We tried it. I don't remember how they went.
They were sub 3.
Yeah, so they're slightly slower than what we're capable of with our good guns.
Like they were like 2.7, I think was what 2.7 or 2.8. Bill drill with the 1911, which no dot, running irons where we're used to running dots and 9s, and it's still pretty good, honestly. But well, guys, do you have anything else in closing here before we start to sign off?
Yeah, guys, if you haven't done it by now, I don't know why. I say it every week that I'm here. Check out Patriot Patch, patriotpatch.co for all your patch needs. They also have the mouse pads. They're the cleaning mats. I use them as a mouse pad. I know Nick does. That's the new patch of the month. For $15 a month, that's the patch you would get. But
I
you
think it's
probably
$20
have
a
both.
month now.
Is it 20? I don't know.
20 a month.
Dangerous freedom.
Is it? Okay, well, sorry. I haven't checked in a minute because I signed up and then just kind of forgot about it because I just get patches every month. And that's the cool thing about Patriot Patches. You get a patch every month. I have one of these already full behind me. I have another one that I haven't hung up yet, but Patriot Patch makes you buy more of the mats so you can hang them up and look cool like me, even though I'm not that cool. But check out Patriot Patch anyway, patriotpatch.co.
Joe, you got anything?
Go bully journalists.
Yes.
Bully the
journalists.
media.
Oh,
Call them out on all their bullshit.
yeah, they are not
Regardless
our
of what side you. Okay, here, yeah, I do. Protect the First Amendment. I don't care what side it's on. Protect the First Amendment because it's the only other amendment that gets beat up like ours does. That said, follow, like us on social media. Check out the website. You get links to everything we have. Check out, hit up our sponsors and affiliates that we have there when you're buying stuff. Anybody else in the spectrum of 2A, like them, share them, subscribe to their stuff. If you're on Rumble or YouTube, the subscriptions are huge. They're always coming for us, and nothing ever works out in our favor. So the more stuff we can do, the more we support each other, the better.
Indeed.
Word.
Well, guys, you know what I'm about to say. What a time to be alive. We live in interesting times. Remember that you are your own first responder. Expect to self-rescue. Go out, get training, get medical training. You make sure that you have the knowledge to help save yourself and someone else. And you folks out there, you stay safe and stay armed.